Hey guys, got another video for today, and today I want to discuss or give my thoughts on ADS FOV setting in Battlefield 5 and all Battlefields actually. Battlefield 1 has a similar setting, or the same setting to quickly mention. And yeah, I want to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of having it off versus on, and the differences between the two. So this is a setting I've experimented with quite a bit over my time in Battlefield 5. The majority of my playtime in my console days, I did play with it off, but nowadays I tend to play with it on. It's quite an interesting setting. So, just to quickly explain what this setting does for those that don't know or are not that familiar with this. When ADSing, your FOV will change or not change depending on the setting that you use. So I've got a little comparison here to demonstrate. So when set to off, the ADS scales to the FOV of 55, regardless of your FOV. So you will have a zoom when you ADS, essentially. And when you set to on, when ADSing, it will scale to your FOV you're currently using, or not scale, if that makes sense. So you'll have no zoom, essentially. So if you play at higher FOVs, this setting will have a bigger impact to you, like on versus off, than if you play at lower FOV because of that scaling. Do you have something in the background on versus off at the lowest FOV and the highest FOV? It kind of gets crazy at higher FOVs and less of a difference at lower FOVs, I feel. So this is a poll I ran on the community tab on the channel. Thank you for everyone to stopping by and voting, by the way. Yeah, and it's players' preference concerning this setting. So as you see, it's mostly ADS FOV on is the big majority. But there's no sort of context, and I feel there's another poll that I did run on the channel, and it's what FOV players play at. And again, as you'll see, it's majority, I would say, higher FOV, and it's something to note as we move to the pros and cons for each setting. Here's the thing, ADS FOV, you can play on both, and perform well on each setting. There's no sort of like correct way to play, but they do have their disadvantages and advantages, which we will go into now. So I think we're going to start with ADS FOV off. So when you ADS, when you have the setting to off, it will scale to the FOV of 55. And some of the disadvantages and advantages of this, with that extra zoom, it will increase the visibility at range. So Battlefield play is quite mid-range at times. It's quite an advantage, especially with it does favour like the semi-autos, the SLRs, the snipers, for that sort of mid to long range. I would say ADS FOV kind of favours sort of angle holding style of play, like if you're a player that likes sort of playing angles, positioning, might be preferential to run ADS FOV off. I'd say this is like a disadvantage, but there's a sort of perceived increase of recoil when you run the setting. I did make a video, my last video, I'll leave a little link at the top, but the recoil is the same. It's all about the FOV in this game and how FOV perceives recoil. It's quite an interesting video if you want to watch it, but basically, just to keep it short, the recoil is the same, although it does feel like there's more recoil, but because of the perception of recoil, it is sort of a disadvantage, I feel. Another sort of disadvantage is just the transition of ADS, particularly at higher FOVs when you have it off. It can be quite a sort of a jarring experience, I would say. It's not much of an issue at lower FOVs, which we sort of shown you earlier, the comparisons and stuff like that. Another sort of disadvantage is like the loss of peripheral vision when in ADS because of that 55 FOV. You will lose sight of, them campers, them MMGs, and go into ADS. But I think generally, if you like playing mid-range, like using the semi-autos, you play at lower FOV, you need like that sort of angle holding sort of play style, positioning, I think it's certainly playable. It's not absolutely horrible experience. It's still a, you can play it and play well. that's sort of the strengths of it, really, I would say, of ADS FOV off. Okay, so we're going to go on to ADS FOV on and where you might want to use that. So when you ADS with ADS FOV on, there's no zoom, so it's basically your FOV setting. So you play at 105, when you ADS it'll be 105. So I would say it favours more sort of like close range, aggressive playstyles. You feel like the assault rifles, the SMGs, you know, this is the sort of high FOV, ADS FOV on, you know, that's it does favour that sort of thing. Another advantage is it has perceived no recoil, you know, it is the same, like I mentioned earlier on the video I made previously, if you want to check that out, but it is the same, but it does feel like it doesn't have any recoil, but trust me, it is the same. And that transition into ADS, I think it's easy on the eye, I think, just from my personal experience, just coming into ADS, coming out of ADS, I think it's just a more pleasant experience, you know, particularly at higher FOVs. Yeah, and one advantage that ADS FOV off doesn't have is, you know, like I mentioned earlier, is the peripheral vision in ADS. When you're ADS, you can see people to your right, to your left, you know, sneaking up on you or just coming into your field of vision, you know, and decide what you want to do. So to summarize the disadvantages of ADS FOV on, you know, the using semi-autos with like a 3x and stuff like that, I kind of feel the ADS FOV off kind of just does it a bit better, because you need that, like that zoom, just to see people better and stuff like that. And you know, the one big main disadvantage for having it on is the loss of visibility at the sort of mid-range. And it's just a thing that gets progressively worse if you have higher FOV. Battlefield 5 is a tough game to see people in, and it's a big issue when you play ADS FOV on, and it's something you have to consider in your play style. Is, you know, it's going to be tough at mid-range and you've got to close the gap and stuff like that. And generally ADS FOV on, the strengths are, you know, up close, sort of high FOV, you know, that sort of aggressive play style. I think that's the really sort of strength to ADS FOV on, I feel. Yeah, so to wrap it up and summarize, I think ADS FOV at lower FOV, I kind of feel the difference is quite minimal. And as you increase your FOV, the difference becomes greater. And I think essentially what it just comes down to is what FOV you play at and what is your play style. You can certainly play well at both settings, on versus off, you know, low FOV, high FOV. You can certainly play well on both. I think that's what it comes down to, is just FOV play style. And I think, just to go back quickly to the community poll that I showed you earlier, the vast majority of players playing on ADS FOV on, having a high FOV, I think it kind of makes sense to play FOV on, I think. And that's why there's a slight sort of correlation there, I feel. But yeah, hopefully I've sort of explained myself well, the disadvantages to the advantages, and let me know what you play at. I play at 79 FOV vertical, so that's pretty much bang in the middle. I'd say it's probably on the lower end, going by the community polls and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like, so I'm trying to grow the channel in a minute, so it'd be very much appreciated, and drop a like if you can, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you boys at the next one.